How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Bill and welcome back to UFO Files. Hope you're all fantastic, hope you're all well. We've got quite a lot of stuff to talk about in today's video, such as the USAF and the secret space program, the Mars ancient ruins, as well as something to do with the Apollo 17 and a UFO over Cleveland. So without further delay, what say we get into today's video? Mars ancient ruins. Is what we're looking at over here a natural rock formation, or possibility the structural remains of an ancient civilization that once lived on Mars? From the image itself, through a bird's eye view, you can see very detailed buildings, look-alike structures, that seem to appear as natural rock formations. When seen from further away, they cascade in a very dynamic manner, structured and altered in a man-made way. Judging by the scale, there is no occurrence of a randomness. Within the positioning, by contrast, the second image is more zoomed in on the land. The exterior is identifiable, different from the interior surroundings. A great deal of organisation can be seen within the inner area. From what I can tell, there could be roads and wide passages leading throughout this alleged city, a very tight and precise network that transports beings or even goods around the city, if they had one. If you look more closely, all the squares you see all around here are more or less the same size. Isn't that odd? Hence why, finding these images to be more than what they seem to be, they could be remnants of a prehistoric plot foundations. Let me know what you think. Veering off towards the left is another small patch of land that appears to be similar to a lake. For sure, the city would need access to clean resources, to maybe fuel their own city or even consume by having the lake nearby. Is it very convenient to this civilization to irrigate without relying solely on the rain. This can even be seen in human ancient history, where the Nile is a very famous north-flowing river in Africa. It was fertile enough to give rise to the early Egyptian civilization, dating back over 5,300 years ago, and it is still home to the Great Pyramids, the Sphinx of Giza near Cairo. This is because most of the Egypt is desert, but along the Nile the soil is rich and good for growing crops. The waters of the Nile is made possible through the people to turn an arid desert into fertile land and sustain life. This made such a strong influence in Egyptian daily life and also had a big impact on the Egyptian art. Similarly, this patch of land could have been done the same for the ancient civilization, but also could have been their doom. It's hard to say, given only a small sample of land, but it's definitely a theory in the works. What also caught my eye was these unidentifiable structures sprouting from the ground. To me, this is just my opinion, and probably many others out there. They look very similar to modern day monuments and architecture. For example, this part here resembles the Washington DC Federal District building. It has a dome-like structure with a very subtle peak at the top. You can see the same with the others that are dotted around the vicinity. Like human beings, they could represent a symbolic historical happening, or just a monument with an absolute meaning sense of emotional attachment, like we have in some of our architectural structures, like the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben. Furthermore, there is ongoing speculation whether this land represents the early or late remnants of an ancient civilization that met its end some years ago. Due to lack of resources, maybe? Ran out of water? Fuel? Energy? Food? Was it maybe a natural disaster? Eruptions? Quakes? Weather? Or possibly was it war? Are we really led to believe that this could just be a natural rock formations? Let me know what you think in the comments below. USAF secret space program. On February 18th, 2009, a flying triangle shaped spacecraft was recently photographed. It was around 1:30 AM. After posting this online, he was allegedly threatened by two men in black to remain silent about what happened and what he had witnessed. The craft appeared with three lights shining, one of each corner, and hovered about 45 feet, approximately 13.7 meters away from JP, over a secluded field near his home. It was described to be one size of a school bus. What follows are the original photos JP posted in the order they were received. I then decided to go ahead and enhance these photos for a clear shot to see these images were in essence fake. The brightness was raised 150 and the contrast turned down to -50 using Adobe Photoshop. The aircraft was specially designed to be quite flat, fast and silent. A considerable amount of ingenuity must have been put into building this aircraft. I have another bit of evidence to prove the date and the time of this happening. Here is a screenshot of the 4 images that were taken in sequence, which shows the timestamp of the photo. Judging by the resolution, the image was captured using a 12 megapixel camera, but due to the slight blurriness of the images, you can tell the floating triangle was moving quite at rapid speed. I am truly impressed he was able to see such an event and live up to tell the tale. This is a very remarkable technology flying vehicles that was seen by first hand by JP. I couldn't even begin to imagine what his thoughts were in that just moment. I am glad he decided to share it with us today. However, did he lose his job after sharing his experience with members of the general public, despite repeated warnings not to do so? Thank you, JP. We appreciate sacrificing his life with no regards to consequences to give us these images. I publicly thank you. Here, ladies and gentlemen, we have another witness stating he has seen a UFO sighting February the 14th, 2020, between the hours of 8:40 and 9 PM Eastern Time. It was hovering between 2 neighbouring houses. Let's take a look at this image. The witness claimed it was hovering approximately 270 degrees west from where he was standing, and it hung for around 20 minutes, no blinking red lights. It wasn't a plane, he goes to say. It had no sound resonating from the alleged aircraft. They were in the safety of their home, filming from the window between the blinds so not to arouse suspicion. After around 10 minutes, the craft began to move towards the right, hovering over the right house, as seen in the picture. Shortly after, it then receded back into the middle where it was witnessed originally saw, but it appeared to have gone a little dim and faint, as if it was getting further and further away. The witness had called the neighbour to verify the absence and occurrence, and she also claimed to have seen it from her back porch. This happened near Cleveland Hopkins Airport, where drones are undoubtedly restricted, especially at night. So this rules out drones. It kept reappearing in the same location multiple times. However, the witness claims the neighbours could see a triangular moving structure in the sky using her binoculars in the same spot around 9:15 PM. Both witnesses could no longer see the object anymore, like it had vanished out of thin air. In the second image, the object also appears to have 2 spheres joined together as a unit, forming this unknown structure. Thankfully, with the help of the witness, the neighbour, this close-up image was taken. My theory is, since the object was somewhat taken millions of miles away, the object is spinning at a considerable fast rate. So when the picture was taken, you can see the double effect, when in fact it is just one unit. But what's your take on this? I'd love to know your thoughts below. Apollo 17 launched on December the 7th, 1972 and landed on December 17th, 1972. There were 3 astronauts, Commander Eugene Cernan, Lunar Module Pilot Harrison Schmitt, and Commander Module Pilot Ronald Evans. The mission was to explore Taurus Littoral Valley. Just to give you a bit of a background, Taurus Littoral is a lunar valley in the Taurus mountain range to the south of Littoral Crater. For non-astrologists, it's a lunar crater located in the northern eastern part of the moon, on the east edge of Mare Serenitatis. It's partially filled by 1,400 meters of basaltic lava. It served as a landing site for the American Apollo 17, the last manned mission to the moon to date. During the mission, they took thousands and thousands of photos throughout their journey. I found one photo, what closely resembles what the general sceners think is the Black Knight satellite. Before we move on for the nitty-gritty, the Black Knight satellite is supposedly a conspiracy that claims that there is a spacecraft drifting in the near polar orbit of the Earth that is extraterrestrial origin, an alien satellite set up more than 12,000 years ago to spy on humans. It's been 120 years since conspiracy theorists believed the existence of the Black Knight was since recorded, and that NASA is engaged in a cover-up. So could this image be the infamous Black Knight we've all known and heard of? It may well be. Could this also be an unidentified spacecraft? It may well could be, but bear in mind the limited capabilities of technology back in the 1970s. Could the government have identified this object back then as the Black Knight and kept it hush? That too could be the case. It has a very distinct shape to it. Can this object be monitoring us back then and may still be monitoring us now? That's a definite possibility. I am genuinely surprised NASA hasn't taken this image down or banned it. Or could it just be a conspiracy? But maybe that's what we are meant to think and brush it off our shoulders. For a clear, more defined comparison, I'm going to insert an image of the Black Knight satellite, and you tell me what you guys think. As you know, there have been many alleged sightings of the Black Knight satellite in different forms and angles in space. We can generally limit it down to this image right here. If we rotate the image, it does look very similar and close to in shape. The one on the right may be upside down, but that's due to positioning and direction. But it's fairly close, wouldn't you agree? Could there be a mysterious satellite out there owned by a long, ancient civilization? Is this definitive proof of that? Or is this just a hoax? Even Nikola Tesla had claimed to recorded a transmitted electronic radio signals at his lab in Colorado Springs. That there was an intelligent nature. As you know, Tesla was a very, very smart man. A futuristic engineer, you could call him. Could we, the general public and a society of non-scientists, be sure his recordings were false? Was he just another nutjob? Tesla was arguably the most and well versed in radio signals at the time, having pioneered the technology. So it's hard to imagine he would have been confused by any earthly interference. In retrospect, the picture was taken in 1972. That's pretty clear to me. The distinction is uncanny. So that pretty much, guys, wraps it up for today's video. Let me know what you think. Do you believe the ancient Black Knight satellite is a hoax? Or are you a true hard nut here and do you believe the Black Knight satellite has been observing us humans for millennia? As always, I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts on this in the comments below. Or should we talk about the ancient ruins on Mars? Do you believe, as NASA would like us to believe, that this is nothing more than just a strange rock formation? Or do you once again believe these are ruins of an ancient civilization lost in time? Do you believe that this site in particular would be an archaeologist's dream to observe and study this site? I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Just before we exit this video, I've actually opened up my own shop for merchandise. If you guys want to check it out, the link will be in the description. As always, guys, I'd like to thank you so much for the support. We've just recently gone over 80 subscribers, which is phenomenal, and I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support. Remember, guys, if you could do me a favor on the way out, how about you drop a like and a share on the way out? That'd be absolutely fantastic. If you're new on, guys, smack that subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload. As always, stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you in just a little bit.
Alright, kick back, relax, and grab yourself a beverage. A hop if you wanna just bounce to my leverage. The evidence, as they say, is in the pudding. So show me the money like my name was Cuba Gooding. It ain't fool's gold.